Well, thanks for joining me, Cody. Today, what we want to do is just kind of dig in. This podcast really we want to be able to inspire others. That's the thing. We want guys out there that are, whether it's Hotshot or not, which is what you do, but whether it's Hotshot or not, just be able to relate. We want to be able to put content out that relates to them and kind of, I guess, shows them the way, right? They can see, what you've done, who you are, where you came from, all those kind of things, just to understand, man, I can do things. I can follow dreams. I can, there's more out there than where I'm at today.
Exactly.
So to start off, just give us kind of a little background, name of the business, kind of what you do, and we'll start from there.
All right. Well, first of all, my name is Cody Williams, from Pittsburgh, Texas. Company name is CHE Integrity Logistics LLC. It's a hotshot hauling company. If you ever see us on the road and you kind of wonder what the CHE is, I have 3 daughters, Chandler, Harper, and Ellison. So we kind of kicked that around for a while, trying to figure out what we were going to name the company, and what much better than to do it after the kids, something that you're trying to grow it and build it for, that's the kind of what we wanted to do, because there's all kinds of Williams trucking and all kinds of stuff. So we just wanted to do it a little different, and name it after the kids.
I did often wonder what CHE was, and I was going to ask today.
Everybody calls, and it's Che Integrity, and I'm like, no, it's CHE, Che. So.
Cool. So Hotshot, give a little bit of I guess the quick version.
Just pretty much, people call and they want something delivered pretty quick. They got something that's couldn't fit on a truck, or they have something that's to a small pallet that they want transported to a job site, or transported to, it's got to be there next day, and that's where we kind of fall in, is helping those guys and those customers out to get what they need in a timely manner and in a quick manner.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it can be hard and go, and then sometimes it's kind of laid back and chill, and you have time to get it there. You don't necessarily have to rush into it.
I gotcha. So it's kind of less than semi,
right,
most of the time.
Exactly.
And then just kind of expedited in most cases.
And weight can vary from 2,000 pounds all the way up to 25,000 pounds. So it's just kind of one of those things of kind of what the customer needs, and if you can fit it.
I gotcha. Why Hotshot?
Man, it really never really got into the whole big rig thing, wanting to be in a semi. So I kind of seen guys back and forth over the years, running hotshot stuff as I worked in the oil field, and I'd always talk to the guys, and they, oh man, it pays better, it does better. Well, it does and it doesn't, it just depends on what kind of relationship you have with your customers and trying to figure out, well, what kind of rate you're getting per mile. But sometimes it pretty much averages out the same, because those customers need it in a fast manner. But just never really wanted to get into a semi. Of course, maybe one day we grow into that. Maybe we have some guys that can run some semis for us if we get into that kind of line of business.
I gotcha. So you said you were oil field prior?
Yes.
And then so that's kind of how you were exposed to it, is just seeing some of the stuff come on site.
Yeah, I did oil field for right at about 10 years. And man, up and down and watching those guys come on and off location, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, we had needed parts. Those were the guys that brought them to us. It wasn't a semi. It was guys in a pickup truck and a trailer, and that's kind of where I got the idea of it. If I ever, something happened with the oil field, that's kind of what I was going to go after.
I gotcha. So talk to us a little about that transition from oil field to...
It was definitely different. I went to school to be a fluids engineer, and went and did that, and went after the oil field deal, and then, it was kind of learned all this stuff about this oil field, and then going to a trucking business that I really didn't have an idea about. Was definitely a lot of video watching, a lot of research, trying to figure it all out, how I needed to do everything. So it was a big transition. It was a big transition for the family, all around.
Yeah. So you've made the jump. How long have you been doing it now?
We're a year and 6 months in.
Yeah.
And it
feels like several years.
Yes, it does.
Lots of miles,
lots of stress, but you just got to keep the head down and stay after it, man. That's the biggest thing.
What do you think? How many miles do you think you've logged?
I did just rode over 84 on the newer truck I got, and I put right at 80 on the other truck I had. So I'm say about 160, 170,000 miles in a year and 6 months. So
yeah, 18 months.
Yeah.
That's a lot of windshield time.
Yeah.
So through that, obviously, you've learned a lot, right? I mean, you've learned it through watching others, listening to others, but also real world experience now.
Right.
So when you look at like other guys wanting to get into the business, there's I mean, millions of opinions out there. You can find whatever you want to, what you can read whatever you want to read, listen to it. But as far as Cody's keys to success and what you've learned in the last 18 months, what would your advice be to someone that's wanting to get started in the business?
Man, if you want to get in this business, look at all your options first. Kind of build yourself up first, go out, reach out to customers, the people that you want to do business with. Don't just, I'm going to go buy a truck and a trailer and I'm just going to take off. It's a lot more to that. It's a lot more than just getting on a load board and finding loads. I have people all the time ask, hey man, do you just get on a load board and find a load? Well, yeah, kind of, but it's not that simple, networking, meeting people, talking to people. That's a big key to my success, is just meeting people and growing friendships and relationships with them and helping them out when they need help, and that's been a big key in success to my business, is just going after and helping out other people. And then next thing you're slammed and you can't catch up. And that's a big thing.
It sounds like if you don't want to make an effort to sell yourself, you're maybe not the right fit. Right.
And you have a lot of guys that they want to get in the business. Oh, well, man, I only want to do it during the week. I want to be home every weekend. That's not this business. Yeah. I mean, once you get your customers up that way, then yeah, you can do that. But that's not really starting out this business. That's not how it usually works. You know?
You better. I mean, it's a commitment, right?
It is full-time commitment.
Yeah, I've seen what you mentioned, where guys are like, hey, I've got a truck and a trailer that I use for X. I want to, can I make some money, on the side, and you might could hit, now and again, do some favors for a company friend, whatever. But if you want to consistently do it, I mean, it's committing to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's full commitment, because you can make, like you said, do some side jobs here and there, but it's not. You definitely got to be committed, because people are gonna call. They're gonna want stuff then, and you got to try to figure out a way to make it happen for them. I mean, it's all about taking care of the customer. That's the biggest thing in this business.
Yeah, because I mean, they want to be able to trust repeat, right? Especially, and that's where I feel like, and I'm not a trucker or not a hotshotter, but those, when you were talking about those relationships, I mean, that's where the security is in those repeat customers.
Exactly.
The load boards are great to help fill the gaps, but where the true, where it's made is in the repeat business and customers. Right. So what about the market today compared to when you started? Like, how do you feel about it?
Man, it's definitely been a big change, especially with fuel prices all over the place. I mean, one week we're at $5.40 a gallon, and then the next week we're at $4.97 a gallon, like it is right now. So it's definitely something you got to learn to flux with. You got to kind of reevaluate what it actually costs you to run, and know your expense of what it takes to run. And kind of, when fuel gets up higher, you got to be able to let your customers know, hey, we got a fuel surcharge. There's sometimes that some customers don't want to pay that, and you got to let them know up front. There's certain things that we.
Just kidding. Amateur podcast.
Right. Let's keep going. I was so worried about it before I walked in. I was like, make sure my phone's on.
Wow.
But yeah, most definitely, man. You gotta. You definitely gotta. Yeah. I mean, you've got to know your cost before you can just, okay, I'm going to jump out there and run this. Yeah. I mean, I talk to a lot of guys that want to get in the business and call me all the time, and daily phone calls. Hey man, I want to do Hotshot. Okay, well, what's it cost you to do Hotshot? What do you mean? Man, you need to really think about what you're getting into, because it's expensive to run. Insurance. I mean, truck, trailer. I mean, it adds up very quick.
Yeah, maintenance.
Yeah, maintenance. I mean, tires. I mean, oil changes. I mean, you're going to get oil changes and fuel filters and everything. It adds up
every time you turn around.
Yeah,
almost literally, you turn the truck around. It's time to get oil change.
Yeah, you're out there busting 2,500 miles a week. I mean, it doesn't take long to rack up for some oil changes.
No. So it sounds like a while ago, sell yourself, right? You got to be a salesman. Well, now we got to be a business owner too.
Exactly.
Now we got to be a business operator in understanding the finances of the business and what true operating costs are. Because a lot of times those are intangibles. When you like the maintenance cost and then some of the things are easy to add up, but then when you've got factoring in replacement truck in a year, when you're stacking 100,000 miles a year, those things are hard to factor in. So now you got to be overnight. You get to be a business operator.
Yeah, and that was a big adjustment for me, is because I'm used to working for companies, and understanding that, okay, I've got to figure all this out. It's not, I don't have somebody going, okay, well, I'm drawing this out for taxes, or this automatically comes out of your check. You have to do that, and that. So, like I said, some people, they don't understand that whenever they try to jump into this business. There's a lot to it.
I don't know what the stat is, but I mean, it's pretty staggering the amount of hotshot businesses that are done within 6 months.
Right. It is. I don't know the number. It's kind of crazy. I had talked to a buddy about it, and we were talking about it, and it's, man, you see so many people jump in the business, and they're booming and they're running. And just within a year, I know several different companies that started up, and I've talked to them. Hey, man, oh, man, I sold out a long time ago. I'm like, dude, you started about the same time I did, and it's just, I think those people don't really grasp of what they're getting into before they actually get into it.
I hear you. What would you say is the hardest part of the job of hotshotting?
Being away from your family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely different. I mean, I was oil field 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off you got to go get it for 2-3 weeks at a time, and then you come home for a couple of days and then somebody's calling for something else, you know. So it's definitely a big adjustment, trying to weigh in family and time, and it's overwhelming at sometimes. But that's the biggest, that's the hardest part to me, is being away from the family.
That balance.
Yeah.
Because kids are doing all the different things and
sports, dance. Yeah. I mean, it just and it never ends. And then, your wife's back home and trying to take care of it all. It's hard on her, so I praise her. I really do, man. I mean,
we'd be in trouble without them.
I know we would.
100%. Huh. That I can definitely, mad respect, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't be away like that. And the oil field might have prepped you a little bit.
Yeah, it did. I've always, man, after ball and playing ball and all that, and coming home, and I decided I wanted to work and not pursue the baseball stuff, of course. But but after that, man, I've always worked on the road 3 weeks at a time and come home for a week. And then, but at that time I didn't have kids, so I was always used to working on the road, just had to adjust to it whenever the kids started coming in the picture, and now working in the oil field, there was times I was working 1 week on, 1 week off, then it went 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and then there was times I was 3 weeks in 1 week. So it just, I was kind of already prepared for what I had to do, but just now it's just like, all right, do I really want to do it? Or, so. Yeah.
And probably thinking about what's it long term, what's it look like, in 2 years from now. Trying to kind of think that far out, because as kids get older, they get into other stuff. And
and that's the whole goal of the business, is to grow the business and give some younger guys opportunity to get themselves out on the road, and guys that are interested in doing what we do, and that's the thing, is finding some guys you can trust to let them do that, and, of course, grow the business to where they're home more, and more of a home-based business. But, that's, I've got to do the work first to get it there, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, going first, definitely. Kind of shifting a little bit. So we got the guys watching. We were talking to a while ago about what your suggestions for getting started, but this kind of relates. Top 5 tools or accessories that you would not roll without.
Of course, first thing I want to say is, a lot of guys don't understand tarps. That's like big thing. A lot of guys don't want to mess with them, but when you're out there on the road, you'll be surprised at how many loads call for tarps. Yeah. And you can either gain a lot of business from it, or you can lose a lot of business from it.
Interesting.
And it definitely, they're a hassle, but I will say that, but it's definitely, tarps would be one of the main things. I'm
kind of dumbfounded. That was not obviously I gave you a few questions coming into it.
Right.
Not something that I would have was expecting the answer for.
I know, and that's one of those things, man. It's just kind of, I know that was like one of the main things I kind of started without at first.
Yeah.
And then got on several loads on the load board and cost for tarps. You know, and I'm like, dude, like, I'm really going to have to go spend the money on these things. Like, and I had to. I mean,
I've definitely seen several flappers going down the road. Never seen the CHE doing it, but
I try my best to make it. I mean, of course, you want it to look good going down the road. I mean, and so
I gotcha.
And man, it really, when I talking about the 5 things is kind of where, I was sitting out there and thinking about, I was like, man, tarps, fuel tanks, auxiliary tanks is a big thing, especially if you're doing more local stuff. I wouldn't say so much you need it, but after having it on this newer truck that I have, it's definitely handy having that, to where I didn't have it on the other truck, because time is everything with Hotshot. So having it and actually being able to fuel up and go for longer trips without having to stop as much cuts into your time, and you only get 11 hours to drive a day, so that definitely cuts into that.
Cool.
Jack, just for you got to have it, man, unless you want to be on the side of the road. I mean, that's the main key to keep going, or you can pay expensive cost to having somebody come jack a trailer up for you and being able to do that. Man, another tool would be, like impacts, keeping impacts and tools with you. I mean, of course, some of these trailers have, pretty tight lug nuts. I mean, it definitely, you want some good, strong impacts, because it definitely, I've got in a bind one time and you definitely need a pretty strong impact.
What brand?
I'd say Milwaukee.
I gotcha. Says a lot about you. I'm just kidding. No, some of these things, though, you're meant, like the jack and the impact stuff, and you talk about mitigating additional expense.
Yeah.
Because, you make a phone call to a record for anything that uses those 2 items, and, it's instant hundreds of dollars, if not more.
Most of the time you call, like, just say you got a flat, you can't get anywhere, or you got a trailer, you're loaded. You can't get your trailer up off the ground to get a spare tire on. You get somebody to come out there with a heavy haul, because they're going to have a heavy haul. And you're looking at $400 or $500, just boom, like
right
that.
Out of your pocket.
Yeah. To where your low was paying $1,500, you're down to $1,000.
Yeah. It's no longer making money.
Right. Just your average stuff, your chains, bonders, straps. Those, you got to have those things. Me personally, after doing it for as long as I've done it, I'd much rather throw some chains and run some chains than to mess with the straps. It's just a lot of work, extra work to me. But
probably still need them for some case, right?
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Most of the time you do strap. That's of course, but
when you're talking equipment and
equipment and stuff, it's a whole lot easier to me. You just grab chains, and tighten them up, and keep going.
Those are the things that you want to invest in, right?
Right. Yeah.
Truck trailers given, buying good quality truck trailers. That's kind of the table stakes.
Yeah.
But when it comes to those accessories, those are the top 5 for.
Yeah, and definitely having, of course, should have been the first one, but of course having good equipment. You got to have good equipment, man.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing.
I gotcha. So this is kind of out of order a little bit, no surprise. But what drives you? Your motivation. You mentioned the kids and the fam for the name earlier, but
having something for myself, man. That's my business. I built that from the bottom to the top, and that's another thing, like the family, having something to give to them to once want to get to the point where I don't want to do this anymore, like, hey, you got something to do,
Yeah.
And,
that's cool.
But that's the biggest drive, man, is I want to make something for myself, something that I built completely, and that's another big drive.
Yeah. And that's definitely something to be proud of.
Right.
That's, it sounds cheesy, but the American dream, that's it.
That's
it
man.
In a nutshell, because you took a leap of faith and left security and to go do this deal. And so that's huge for sure. Truckers debate, Dodge or Ford? Because
I've had both.
Yeah.
But me, personally, Fords.
And what are you driving now?
I'm driving a Ram right now. I am. Due to supply and chain demand, I really didn't have a choice at the time. But just as far as the both of the two, I feel a lot more comfortable in my Ford.
Yeah.
Felt, it definitely pulled a lot better to me. and just overall to me, it's just a better truck. Just be honestly, I'm not bad mouthing the Ram at any means. It's getting the job done, but
it's down there thinking whenever you go get in it.
Yeah, like hey, you're leaving tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you.
Right.
No, well, it's odd because growing up, the Rams it's always the work truck,
right?
Always,
right.
And it seems like the last 5 years that Ford has really made a push, and in the Hotshot world, it's made a pretty big dent. It feels like, could be wrong,
right.
but it feels like it's made a pretty big dent in the market share for Ram and the Hotshot business.
Right, and I think it's used to Ford had 6-speed transmissions, and then now they converted to the 10. And man, that to me that makes a huge difference. I mean, especially when, of course, you want to get the best fuel mileage you possibly can, even when you're running a load. And to me, the Ford is just, like I said, man, it's just a lot better truck.
A little more superior.
Right.
Interesting.
And you have a lot of people that love Rams. Now, I don't have the high output Ram, and a lot of guys have all the high output is so much better, but you're still not doing what the Ford does.
What kind of difference is that? Do you know?
I think the Ford is
from the standard up to the high output.
So I think the standard, which I have a standard because it's a cabin chassis, and they don't offer the high output in the cabin chassis.
Yeah.
But I think it was 380 horses compared to the high outputs. I think it's 410 or 420, and I think the torque is 800 or 900 compared to I think 1080 or 1100 on the pound foot of torque.
Dang, for the Ford.
For the Ram.
Oh, for the high output Ram. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty big difference in torque.
Yeah, the horsepower in the Ford is like 475, and then the torque's I think 1180 or 1080. The torque in the high output Ram and the Ford are about
similar.
the same.
Yeah,
just a lot more horsepower.
Yeah, but then that 10-speed makes a big difference.
Huge difference.
That's interesting. It makes sense. And personally, I've always thought a Ford was a better built truck. Interiors are, it seemed to be a little better put together. Doors shut better. Just the little things. The Dodges always just seem to run forever, but could give or take on the interior. The later Rams are nicer.
Right. Rams came a long way, especially with the interior.
I got you. Cool. Well, we're going to end. We're pretty close to the end. I'm going to end with some random lightning round questions. Okay. These are questions you didn't have a heads up on. Not super crazy, though. So you're riding down the road, you're chasing the pavement, putting in the miles. What's on the radio? Or, well, nobody listens to radio anymore. What's on your playlist?
Well, it's just kind of, man, really, man, I'd say probably the highway. I listen to, like XM radio, of course, the highway, that. It just kind of change it up here and there, a little bit of Texas country here and there sometimes. So just kind of switch it up, a little Cold Wetzel.
Okay. I got you. I don't know what I was expecting, but I can get on with it. So you and your wife, who takes longer to get ready?
Dude, seriously?
Well,
hey, seriously. Sometimes she's like, how many times are you going to change shirts?
Oh, so it's you?
Yeah. Well, sometimes.
Okay. We'll stop on that one. Cake or pie?
Cake.
What kind?
Angel food cake.
What? Chocolate?
No,
not chocolate.
No, I'm not a big chocolate guy.
Oh. Well, we may not be friends anymore. Favorite place on the road to stop and eat? Maybe it can be hole in the wall that you found. It can be chain restaurant, whatever. You got a big rig to get in there, so like exactly. you're thinking, I know it's a pain, but it's worth it. I'm stopping.
Man, that's kind of I don't know. It's kind of just some of the relationships built. Some of the guys are always, hey man, you can stop here, try this. So I've definitely tried some different places. There's a place in Ohio that's more of like a sandwich guy, like sandwiches. But there was a place called The Melt, and they had amazing sandwiches, and I kind of like that place, but that's cool. Always a kind of a drop the trailer and go there type deal,
Gotcha. That's cool. The last lightning round question: what does a person need to be happy?
Family, man.
Yeah.
That makes my day every day. Those kids, even if I'm gone for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I get back home, and that's what makes me happy, man.
I agree 100%. I mean, and family can come in many forms, right? Yeah. I mean, some people, us, we both got kids, wives, things. That support system,
yes.
Family. It can be close friends they're your family. It just that unconditional type love is what I think is what you're getting at, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's, everybody's, oh man, if you had this much money or you did this or that. And I'm like, that, of course we want to have money, but is that really what it's about? You know, I mean,
at the end of the day, take everything else away. And those folks are the one that's what makes life.
That's what makes life, man. Yeah. I mean,
that's awesome.
It makes everything whole right there.
Cool. Well, do you have any last words for those, like we talked about earlier, that are, just wanting to make the jump?
Man, like I said, just really research into it. Contact me if you got any questions. I mean, I'm always open to share information. I mean,
we'll throw your handle up on the video.
Yeah.
Is it cool?
Yeah, that's fine, man.
We got it.
But yeah, like I said, man, it's definitely, just reach out. I mean, there's a lot of guys you can learn from in this business. So just ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't make a decision just based off what you see on Facebook or Instagram. Guys posting pictures of what they're doing. It looks easy, but there's a lot more to it.
There you go.